What up gamers, I'm Jason and today on Dice & Dragons I'm going to be reviewing the Zombicide Day One comic book by CMON Games and Guillotine Games with story by Luca Enoch and Stefano Vietti with art by Marco Itri and Alessio Moroni. Now hopefully I pronounced those names correctly. Now for those of you that don't want any spoilers, I will be talking about the overall comic book in the first half of this video, and then I'm going to get into full-on spoilers for the story. Now this comic book does come with the comic book extras. If you'd like to see what you got for the Kickstarter, there'll be a card popping up to our unboxing where we take a look at all of CMON's comic books and their extras in that video. So I've set it up, let's now talk about it. Well, the name of the comic book is Day One, and fairly obviously, it starts on the first day of the zombie apocalypse. Now, this story does follow the new characters that are introduced in the comic book extras. Characters such as Julio, Hobo, Keiko. You also have some of the classics like Ned and Wanda that also feature heavily in the story. Now, what is happening in the comic is that there is a plague going on, not a plague going around. They think that people are just going crazy, that they're biting each other, and slowly it becomes clear that it's actually the start of the zombie apocalypse. Now, each of the different characters has their own bit of backstory. At the back of the book, actually, you even get some backstories for some of your favorite characters that weren't featured in the main story, such as Doug, Amy, and Joss, which I thought was pretty cool. And throughout the course of this story, you're going to follow Ned and Wanda as they try to escape the city on the first day of the zombie apocalypse. Now they'll then run into Hobo, Keiko, Julio, and Diana, and they have some misadventures in true Zombicide fashion. You're going to see them picking up weapons, you'll see them encountering runners, fatties, abominations, and everything that you would expect from Zombicide. Now, I can't really tell you more without getting into spoilers. What I can say is this is very much a run-of-the-mill Zombicide and zombie story. So if you do like the game and you like zombie stories, you'll enjoy this by seeing your favorite characters. It's a little bit more of a cartoonish and less serious take on the on the material such as the games are, so it can definitely be quite enjoyable. There is some gore and gruesome art, so I would not recommend this for kids of all ages. Now, if your kids are into zombies and things like that, the cartoon and the little bit of satirized nature, that is going to go over fairly well with them. But there are some fairly gruesome scenes, and I'd much rather parents be warned if you're thinking about letting your kids read the book. As I said, the story's pretty much generic and what you would expect from this type of comic book. I don't really think there's anything special here. I also think that the source material is a bit of a detriment to it. Now, at this point, I've actually read Zombicide Invaders comic book and Cthulhu Death May Dies. This comes off as very much a day in the life of survivors, where you get a little bit of their backstory, and that can be cool if they decide to continue it. But this is very much a lighthearted story. But there is some potential for, some ongoing storylines. And I don't want to give any spoilers right now, but you can definitely see how some of these character threads may be tied together. Also, one minor spoiler, this is a zombie story, so don't expect everyone to survive. So that's all I'm going to say about the book. I do think it is a fun addition and a great way to experience the Zombicide universe, but I don't think this is anything special and you're getting a particularly great zombie story. So now let's talk about this full-on spoilers. The book this is your last warning, there's spoilers. If you don't want any more spoilers, well, you should peace out right now. So as I was saying, the book opens with Ned traveling into the city, and he is looking for Wanda to bring her to his shelter. Now you see a few incidents that happen. You hear some talk on the radio about things going crazy and sideways, and you even encounter some of the survivors and just, those passing by vignettes that they like to do. For example, Ned encounters Julio's bus. So you get an idea that we're getting presented into the world. We encounter Hobo and Keiko at the Museum of Natural History, and they'll show up a little bit later. Now, through the story, we see that Ned tries to save Wanda, and then all hell breaks loose. Zombies come and attack them, and Ned is trying to get Wanda to his shelter, but they have a lot of problems along the way. This leads to him encountering Diana, and then Julio, who helps him out of a jam as they try to survive the night and then escape to Ned's shelter. They unfortunately run into some problems, and Julio does not survive after they encounter Keiko and Hobo, who save them from a very tough situation. Now, the whole story is really focused on one element. You get a little bit of each character's sort of backstory and setup, really, besides not so much Ned and Wanda's, because there are main sort of POV characters that we're following through this story, whereas the others do join them, but they weren't there at the start of it. It is pretty cool. I really like Keiko and Hobo, and there was a lots of zombie slaying in true Zombicide fashion, so I thought that was awesome. Characters just mowing down zombies, using melee weapons. Keiko is just a complete badass as a shrine maiden, and I thought it was awesome. Absolutely love Keiko as a character. Probably be the next character that I play once we complete our Washington ZC campaign and get this game back to the table. Or maybe not if we play Fort Hendricks, but in a one-shot. Now, Julio does get dragged away, and what was really cool about that is he does come back as a zombie, so we do get to see things a little bit from the zombies' perspective in this book, which I thought was fairly interesting. Now, along the way, a lot more incidents happen. I don't want to go into too much detail, and eventually we do get to Ned's shelter, and not everyone necessarily decides to stay at the shelter. In one last final big showdown where we actually do feature an abomination, Hobo is killed, and the survivors do end up going their separate ways, with Ned and Wanda staying at the shelter, with Diana and Keiko moving on by themselves. Now, in the back of the book, you do have some other stories besides Doug's and Josh's, some people going to Ned's shelter potentially, so maybe we'll get some ongoing storylines. Now, what I did realize, though, is that Hobo does look like the Hobo Abomination, so there may be some type of through line with that if we do happen to get more comic books in this Zombicide world. Suffice to say, I did enjoy this book. It's not my favorite book. It's not a bad book. It's not a great book. I give it a 6.5. It's a solid edition for anyone that likes Zombicide, but if you're not a Zombicide fan, there's no need to pick up this book or add it to your collection. So there you go. That's my review of Zombicide Day One by CMON and Guillotine Games. Now, I'd just like to remind everyone to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Also, down below in the video description, there are links to all of our social media feeds. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you would like to see a picture of Julie and I playing Zombicide 2nd Edition, well, there are plenty of pictures on those feeds. And if you're looking to pick up a copy and maybe even a copy of this comic book, take a look at our link to multizone.ca. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel because a portion of that purchase is returned to us. Now, popping up in front of me will be links to some of our previously released videos. Over here will be our most recent release, and over here will take you back to one of our other reviews of the CMON comics. With that being said, don't forget, keep reading comic books, and most importantly, keep playing games.